Ah, look at my great conurbation. So, SimCity 4. While making the last video about it, I happened upon a lot of little-known information about the game's development, and I just thought it was pretty interesting. So here I am putting more of that info into a video for your viewing convenience. And a huge thanks goes out to the man named Ocean Quigley, whose blog I used for most of the information in this video, and without it, I wouldn't have been able to find anything about SimCity 4. Seriously, the Wikipedia pages for every other SimCity is chock full of information, but for the fourth game, it's so barren that the music takes up a third of the space for the development section. But anywho, let's get into some of the beta screenshots, which, as always, if you want to check it out for yourself, it's in the description. First up, we have a picture of some urban development, but there are these dynamically placed advertisements and decoration, which we know it's dynamic because there's another photo of them all removed. In this other photo, you'll see different weather effects and textures, and road junctions don't quite work correctly yet. We'll see some more about that later in some of the dev blogs. Here's one where you can see some early disasters in a HUD that looks more like SimCity 3000. There's some early pictures of the fire and coal plant. Feels like smoke used to be a lot thicker and would plume more, if you know what I mean. And one of the coolest things we have from the blog is this video of a pre-visualization, which is just a fancy way of saying a 3D animation of how they want the final product to look. And I think they really hit it home. When you look at the final game and the render, they almost look identical. The only real differences are the amount of clouds, the zones, and the shape of the terrain is slightly different. If you're eagle-eyed, you'll also notice that the buildings are from SimCity 3000. It's weird to see them in this different angle. And last but not least, not really a beta thing, but this render of all the vehicles in the game is, it's neat. In the earliest blog I can find, mind you this is still written 5 years after the release, Ocean Quigley talks about making the terrain look good for the first time. They had the erosion system working, and the system that could texture different parts of the terrain depending on the slope, but you can see that the slices of land when your city cuts off have a different texture that's just one big stone texture no matter what, unlike the slices of sediment that you would see in the final game. In a quote from Quigley, you should use that as like a series name. A quote from Quigley. "I worked really hard to get the terrain to integrate nicely with roads and builds. I wanted it to feel like one seamless place, not stitched together from lots of different parts." And I feel like you could tell that they worked on the 3D terrain for a while, because the fact that buildings and the road all work nicely, most of the time, is kind of amazing. It's not something you see much in modern games, and I think there's a reason for that. Something reiterated in a lot of these blogs is SimCity 4 was a giant compositing engine, which, yeah, I can see that, because it's putting 2D sprites on the 3D terrain with height to take account for. The 2D sprites are always rendered onto 3D billboards. Think of something like grass in modern games, or the enemies in Doom, where it always faces the camera no matter what. Larger buildings, like skyscrapers, use simple polygon shapes, which allows them to put textures on them, like doors or rooftop clutter, like vents. But when you have terrain in buildings, you'll need some roads to connect them. This screenshot shows when they were testing roads and how they'd function with terrain. You can see this is still in the isometric viewpoint of SimCity 3000, instead of the trimetric viewpoint of SimCity 4, so it's probably pretty early in development. Something else you can see is a diagonal bridge, which you can't do in the final version of the game. It's not possible. Here's another picture showing early avenues, and you can see the game is now trimetric, and has a blue background that, if you play the game, are familiar with. Something that never made it into the full game is this clip of showing the road preview, and also showing you the amount of money it'll cost, and the type of feature it's adding. Another thing that never made it in was upgrading your bridges. In the final game, you just select from a catalog of bridge types. Will Wright has a very insightful quote, "Roads are hard," which you can see from this low-resolution picture of all the tiles, just for avenues. He wasn't kidding. I can't imagine how many painful nights went into making these work with the 3D geometry. But, that's really all I have for this video. It's kind of short. I know all my videos are short, really. Who am I kidding? But if you have a video idea for me, please put it in the comments. Otherwise, I'm out. Peace.